I'm here with Ryan Field with Kernel, and we're in this incredible NeuroTech room. And there's so many incredible ideas right now, but I want you to tell me a little bit about what you're gaining from this experience today.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a great experience. It's been a lot of really rich conversations about all the different ways people are working in the neurotech field, ways we can work together to collaborate and really complement the different solutions we're all building. So I think one of the big takeaways from the panels and all the discussions going on is there's no one-size-fits-all approach to understanding and intervening around the frame. And so it's really all these different people with a lot of great ideas coming together and looking at ways to solve really big problems that matter a lot to all of us in humanity, I'll say.
And tell me a little bit more about Kernel, especially for people who maybe are just now hearing about it.
Yeah, so Kernel has been around for about 8 years, and we really started out with the objective to build a new type of measurement tool for the brain. So we spent about 6 years developing core technology and building something fresh. So it's unlike anything else that people had built before. And what we did is we built this tool that measures the oxygen in the brain. And so you generate maps of oxygen in the brain and use that to understand things about disease state or potential treatment response. So we study depression and dementia as the two key indication areas that we work in clinically.
And just you saying oxygen in the brain, it was like a reminder to take a breath.
Yeah.
So today, you're talking with so many different people. What are you hoping that a day like today does for NeuroTech, for Kernel, moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, so I think the big thing for me is I feel like NeuroTech as a field has been around for a while. Like we've been, in various groups have been working in this for over decades.
But it's like if you know, you know, and there's so many people who don't know.
And so I think like a big part of this is trying to get some of the work we're doing in NeuroTech out and making it clear that there are different types of neurotech and different groups that are working on things. So there are definitely the consumer applications, and so you may have heard from the panel, but Muse has 500,000 users of their neurotech device. We are a more clinically focused group, and so we have dozens of users of our device. But we're in this phase where we're trying to build something new and accessible and kind of grow that around trying to solve medical or clinically oriented problems. And so it's just a difference in how there's some consumer space, there's some emerging clinical space, and so it's really just kind of seeing the diversity of areas that people are working today. And so yes, getting the word out so that people know that NeuroTech is here, it's a thing that's happening, it's more than just some buzzwords, it's real, we're building solid evidence that shows these things work, and you can actually measure what's going on in someone's brain, and we're not just making stuff up.
Exactly. Tell me a little bit about you and what led you to this field.
Yeah.
What was it, that moment where you're I'm doing this, this is what's important to me?
Yeah, so I'm an electrical engineer by training, so I have a PhD in electrical engineering, and I spent my career developing sensors. And about a little over 6 years ago, I was approached by Kernel actually to develop some technology that was very similar to things I'd done my PhD and other work on, but to measure the brain. And at that time, I was actually working in the LiDAR field, so I was developing sensors for 3D mapping and autonomous vehicles. But when an opportunity came along to work on new technology to understand the brain, I was that's perhaps one of the hardest and most interesting problems that you could work on. Just think about how important the brain is to you. In having this conversation, your brain is doing so many things, but you don't understand and aren't aware of all of those things going on. And generally speaking, as a society, we don't have a lot of good data and information about what's happening inside our brains on an individual level. And so I think the opportunity to really change that and to build technology that could not only help us measure and understand what's going on in the brain, but then improve the lives of people by using that information to improve things like treatments or have earlier diagnoses.
Wow. This is CES. This is a really big area to get the word out, but it does also seem like more and more people are starting to really wake up to what NeuroTech is and the importance of it. So what are you thinking is going to happen a year from now, or even 5 years from now?
Yeah, I mean,
especially at CES.
yeah, I think, we, as much as I hate to say it, we have Elon to thank for some of the attention that's come to the neurotech field. Like Neuralink and the work that they've done has really drawn a lot of attention and investment into the space. And so that raises kind of the awareness and the zeitgeist of what's happening around folks who are innovating around the brain. And so, like, thank him for that, but I also think that there are a lot of us working, adjacent in that space and building new solutions. So for us, for example, a year from now, I think we're going to have really strong evidence that we can help with making meaningful decisions about, treatments for patients with depression, right? And like this is a clinical thing. We're going to have to go through the FDA and work on supporting all these claims and getting the evidence behind it. But I think a year from now we'll have a pretty good case that we can make. I think we'll also have like a really good understanding of cognition and what's happening in our brains normally as we age, right? And so what's normal cognition over the lifespan of an individual, we don't know today, but I think we're going to start to understand that in the next year to 5 years. And then I think what's going to happen as a field as a whole is that some of these technologies are going to emerge as being really useful for some people. Like there will be winners and losers, of course, but I think there's going to be something in the next 5 years that's going to be what people would call the killer app around neurotech. And I would be surprised if we don't see it in the next couple of years. That's really going to generate a lot of excitement in the field. And it's more than just monkeys playing Pong or playing Mario Kart with your brain.
Is there anything you saw today, especially in this room, that kind of like hit you in the heart?
Oh, I think the Bionic Hands group, Psionic, right? Like what they're doing is, I think, meaningful and impactful in so many ways. And so like you really feel the direct impact that they're having on the lives of patients today, right? Like in all the work that they've gone through to get Medicare coverage, really hard work, but really meaningful and purposeful. So, I give a shout out to them for doing all of that.
Well, anything else that you can add, or maybe something I forgot to ask?
No, it's been a long day, and I feel like my brain is just like filled to the brim with a lot of new and useful information and connections and people that I've made. So it's been a really great time here. So thanks for this conversation, too.
Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks.